Level 3, Lesson 1. How to empower affirmations and talk to the universe. We live in a world of things to talk about, and we often take for granted the power of those descriptors. Language affords us the ability to describe the world around us and is not only encoded into our brains, it is also acquired or learned as we grow up. It's the age-old dichotomy of nature versus nurture. The ubiquitous nature of language is why we have over 7,100 languages around the world, and this diversity reflects a linguistic principle called the arbitrariness of language, which states that each language, associated culture around the world, has the same concepts to talk about, but use different words and linguistic constructs to describe them. And therefore, there's an arbitrary connection between signs, words, and symbols, objects. Linguistics also tells us that beyond the over 7,100 languages that are spoken by human beings, there are also other forms of communication like pidgins, creoles, animal languages, symbolic or semiotic languages, and at a more advanced level, the languages that our paleocortex and limbic systems speak. I will address this last point a bit later at the end of this lesson. We all know the word language. However, most people are unaware that language is way more than just words. The science of linguistics tells us that language, in the sense of the transmission of information, is communication. So let's recall the phrase, "A picture is worth 1,000 words." Now think about what that means. And at the same time, let's also remind ourselves that pictures are also a form of communication. Now let's piece all that together. Language, communication, reframing what exactly language is. Because all of the Meta-5 manifestation fields in this course are forms of communication. So in fact, the mind, body, language, dimensionality, and mentors, all of these things work together in concert. Okay, they're not separate, disparate things. Communication is important because it's the essence of tapping into the energy flow between these unified individual systems and collective unified system. So each of these components communicate with one another and individually, utilizing their own communicative strategies. So for example, the mind communicates in pictures and emotions and memories. The body communicates in tension and posture and health. Our language, the language we use, communicates in words and worldview and syntax and phonology, right? The dimensions of the universe communicate in premonitions, gut feelings, intuitions, synchronicities, also in deep meditative states. Our mentors, in terms of mentorship, communicate to us ideas and inspirations, corrective actions, positive reinforcements, and the broadening of our ideas and our idea bases. Okay, so all of these realms, levels of communication are very, very important, and it's how this system communicates. And we have to learn, and as soon as we understand that, it opens up avenues for us to create positive intentions and manifest with absolute power. So let's try a quick exercise. I want you to think about your goal or something you would like to manifest into your life. So sit and think about that. Think about the goal, your course goal, and reflect on that. Say, for example, it's a date, or a cup of coffee, or a new car, or $20,000. Stop what you're doing right now. I want you to stop, sit up straight, close your eyes, or focus on something inspiring like your vision board with your eyes open. Take it all in, and take a deep breath. Now smile. It's important to smile. Smile and then repeat the following simple phrase with peace and with confidence. Accept what you're going to say as if it were true. And just say, "It is done." Oh, it is done. It is done. Notice what happens in your mind. Notice what happens to your body. If you receive any intuitive thoughts, or you think about someone to connect with, or someone has told you something supportive like this in the past, think what comes up. Think what presents itself to you. Now reflect as you do this. It's your Meta-5 fields all working for you in support of your goal. This is all communication to you, and more importantly, for you. All this communication is not just to you, it's not just directional, but it's supportive in nature. It's for you, okay? So repeat and use this often. Think about your goal and relax yourself and just say, it is done, right? Accept it. And this will allow like a vibrational stretch to open up, and you will receive things, okay? It is a very powerful, and it's deceptively simple in a way. It's a very simple technique, and it should be in your manifestation arsenal that you use all the time. And again, I use this all the time, and it works wonders for me. One time in particular, I remember when I was shopping for a second home, I saw a cute little townhouse that I absolutely loved, and I wanted to go check out. However, at the time, I had commitments on Sunday afternoons when open houses were normally shown. Well, I really wanted to go, and I wanted to check this out because I knew I probably wanted to make an offer on this place. Well, I used this technique. Along with visualizing being on the property, I used this technique and said, it is done. And I imagined myself there. And within 3 days, I found out that the realtor actually wanted to do their own showing an hour early on the Sunday I wanted to go because of their own life constraints. So they moved it. Instead of 2 o'clock, it was 1 o'clock. And I got to go see the townhouse and the property. It was a super cool connection. And this will manifest in your life in many, many different ways, many, many different forms. You may see them as synchronicities or happenstances, but they were there for you. All these things not just happen to you, but for you. And you should thank them, okay? So here's another bit of advice. And while I've preached the posturing and pre-posturing technique, you should also celebrate after wins like this. So after seeing the property, I did a little victory pose, put my hands up in a victory pose, and did a fun little playful shuffle that I do in celebration, and got excited. I just gave excited gratitude for the fact that I got to go see this place, and it was super, super amazing. It just really was a cool place. And this also serves as a cognitive bridge when you do this, when you celebrate, to future events, and will build positive feedback loops in your brain, enlivening further success. So we'll cover this in detail in the next lesson, in level 4, lesson 1. Words by themselves are only one component of the overall makeup of the broader linguistic concept of communication, which includes all of the 10 to 12 subfields of linguistics and beyond. If you're to do a linguistics degree, you'd have to focus on at least 2 of those subfields, but there are about 10 to 12 subfields in the discipline of linguistics. In this course, I've distilled all of the technical stuff from my linguistics degree into its manifestation components, because manifestation is, at its essence, a form of communication. Your imaginal energy is what is being communicated in order to manifest what you desire. So it's pretty cool, yeah? Well, let's compare. Whereas the body takes in knowledge about the world around us, and our bodies and mind, and remember, the mind is encased in the body, processes and interacts with that world, language describes it, and it is sent out into the world via our bodies. Body language, through our minds, our thought energy, and our mouths through speech. So language exists in both the mind and the body, right? We think with our inner voice, but we also have so-called body language, right? Language also carries energy with it, both emotional and spiritual. And every culture around the world believes at some level in the power of words. The beauty of language is that it is so much more than words, as the science of linguistics tells us. When it comes to manifesting in the law of attraction, Language plays a key role in expressing our intentions and encoding our thoughts and emotions. It is very crucial to be aware of this in your manifestation journey. In Genesis 1:3, God spoke and created the world. He spoke and created the world. Cause and effect. Jesus and the Bible are the Word of God, right? Think about the context of where this word appears, okay? God spoke and created the world. Jesus and the Bible are the Word of God. God is the great I am. There is a famous saying that goes, what follows I am follows you, which means that whatever you say about yourself will manifest as true. What follows I am follows you. So what are you saying about yourself? I am lazy, I am poor, I am unattractive, or I am confident, I am rich, I am the prize. So fill in the blank with your own I am, and that will follow you into manifestation. What follows I am follows you. It's a very powerful concept indeed. In a way, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, plain and simple. This is your starting place to learn about affirmations. However, building off of the idea that what you say about yourself will be created into reality comes with a caveat. And that is that we are manifesting 24/7, 365. So affirmations aren't just positive, unfortunately, okay? Affirmations are whatever we say. Whatever we say, good or bad, are affirmations. Whatever follows I am follows us. And that's how the subconscious mind works. And this is where we begin to empower your affirmations and learn to talk to the universe. It's like Henry Ford's quote. And he said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, either way, you are right. Think about the power of that phrase. Take a moment and read it and reread it and let that sink in, exactly what he's implying with that phrase. Whether you think you can or think you can't, you are right. What we want to do in this lesson is to build off the previous two metafields, the mind and the body, and introduce the power of language, specifically affirmations and how we talk to the universe. The universe, by the way, can be any higher power that you assign it. It can be God, Buddha, spirit, higher dimension, whatever conforms to your belief systems and tenets. How you speak to yourself and about yourself matters. It really intensely matters. It's a habit you need to master immediately if you haven't done so already. Change your thought patterns by restating and meditating, and by listening to positive affirmations if you need to. When I was at my lowest point, I listened to positive affirmations constantly, over and over, while I drove, while I slept, and used the power of my conscious awareness to battle them, like St. George battled the dragon in England. So, two things help me immensely and can help you in any situation. The first thing is to speak positive affirmations out loud. This is very, very crucial, okay? Don't just think them, but say them out loud with your voice. Don't mumble them either, but say them with a confident voice using the posturing technique that we learned in the previous lesson. And you don't have to literally say them loudly, like you have to shout them out loud, but do speak them as if you're talking to yourself positively, or to a coach or a role model or to a mentor in an imagined positive situation, okay? Speak them out loud. And two is to ask yourself this question if speaking negatively about yourself or to yourself. Ask yourself this question, and this will stop you immediately in your tracks and reshuffle and reframe your questioning and how you're saying your affirmations, okay? Ask yourself this question. Would I talk to a friend like this? When you're talking down to yourself and you're saying negative things, being pejorative, and saying filthy, vile things and erupting at yourself, right? Think about this question. Ask yourself this question right away. Cut yourself off with the past. Would I talk to a friend like this? Would I talk to my partner or my spouse or my children or my coworkers like this? Would I talk to another human being like this? Chances are you wouldn't. You would feel horrible. So don't ever talk to yourself like that, okay? If you're not going to speak to somebody else like that, do not talk to yourself like that. Say nice things and encourage yourself, okay? Make yourself smile. So use this to empower your own self-image. Hey, you are a great person. Here's another technique you can try immediately. This inspirational phrase came to me via one of my mentors who was speaking on manifesting money. But you can use this for other manifestations as well if you like. At one point in my life, I had a HELOC payment, which was growing larger and larger as I was paying it down. And it was eating up all of my income to the point where I literally had to make very tough purchasing decisions. I then heard my mentor speak these words, which were spoken to him by his mentor, who was also, funnily enough, an early mentor of mine. Well, he said, "Do you control your bank account? Or does your bank account control you?" And I sat there and I thought, oh my gosh, it was like a huge energy shift for me. Do you control your bank account or does it control you? That phrase hit me like a ton of bricks and it woke me up very, very quickly. It also instantly shifted me into the driver's seat energetically. It must have fired my paleocortex into action. Like I visualized my bank account online screen, standing over it in total control of it, as if I had banished a monster under my bed or finished a puzzle or stood proudly over a project that I had successfully completed. And I thought to myself, and I said to myself out loud, I control my bank account. And as I looked at my online bank account screen, I felt it. And I felt it acquiesce to my will, comply with my orders, fall into a state of subjugation and complicity. Not long after, the windfalls started happening. First, out of the blue, I had received a cash out from an investment that I'd been holding on to the tune of $20,000. On top of that, I started receiving job offers from places that I had thought about and forgotten, and they were exactly the things that I wanted to do to bring in extra money. My fledgling YouTube channel started getting tons of hits at the time, and it's like I began noticing a lot of money-making avenues right in front of my perceptual reality to bring in more income. And this is amazing because I can hear that same mentor who asked about controlling your bank account saying another phrase that I love, which is, never lower your standard of living, raise your income level. Here's the neuroscientific fact. Your brain is wired to keep you in its own sort of homeostasis, which means that your brain wants to take the path of least resistance in order to conserve energy. And this is why it's so easy to remain stuck and feel lazy. It's also the scientific principle of Occam's razor, which says that the simplest solution is often the best solution, which speaks to efficiency. If feeling bad and doubtful and negative is your normal pattern, then that is the pattern your brain will subconsciously look for to repeat, and the program it will manifestly run. However, we can change the program by writing a new one. And one of the ways we can do that is with language, through affirmations. A lot of people get messed up by affirmations because they don't understand the true nature of how our neuropsychology and physiology works. But no worries, I got you set up for success here. And here's what you need to know about the opposing team before getting on the field, metaphorically speaking. The brain does three things when working with affirmations, and you need to know this, okay? Your brain, when working with affirmations, generalizes, deletes, and distorts, okay? It will do this to keep you in homeostasis, right? It will do this so that it will generalize. It will do this because it's going to try and take you on the path of least resistance to conserve energy. So, When confronted with affirmations, your brain is going to generalize. Okay? It wants to fight with you in a way. It's that naggy voice and that naggy friend trying to play mean with you. Okay? So, in order to understand what your opponent's going to do is going to help you to score and defeat your opponent. Okay? By knowing what to anticipate, you can now avoid it. Right? You see something running at you, you're not afraid anymore. You know exactly what it's going to do. You just sidestep and go around it, okay? So your subconscious mind generalizes, okay? Your brain will generalize things so that if you think, I am lazy, then your perception of reality will be that everyone thinks I'm lazy. And that's how you will see the world and others reflected back to you. So you will see yourself in them. That is, the universe manifested into reality. So through affirmations, you will shift your beliefs to think, I am productive, or I get stuff done, or everyone subscribes to my YouTube channel, or clients are banging down my doors to do business with me, etc. And that's what will be reflected back to you, because you and your subconscious is now going to generalize that as your energy out. But your mind also deletes. Okay, it's very sneaky. Your mind will literally shift your conscious awareness to create blind spots for you to keep with the program and the self-image that is, for example, lazy, right? You may miss money-making opportunities because your mind will delete opportunities, delete things right in front of you, or relationships or events, because although your subconscious received it as an input, it did not allow your consciousness to process. Think about how nefarious that is. The nerve, it's called a scotoma, which is a blind spot that our brain blocks out. But through affirmations, your mind will now do the opposite. It will delete the old emotional negative feed and story and only enthrall you with positive opportunities. You're going to use its own kung fu against it, right? It will shift your conscious awareness to focus on all the things, people, places, and gut feelings that it previously denied, and you will notice an influx and an avalanche of success. Finally, your subconscious mind distorts. Okay, so your subconscious mind distorts things to fit your base programming. For example, if somebody tells you, you look super fit, like they just gave you a compliment, you will distort those words into something self-effacing and even twist it into something negative and perceive it as, I can't seem to lose all the weight I want, or I still feel like my diet sucks. Even though that person just gave you an exemplary compliment, you'll distort it into, well, I'm still struggling with this, okay? But this is like a form of pareidolia, where we fill in the missing pieces of an image to see what we want to see. It's kind of like a Rorschach test, which is also called the infamous inkblot test. So how are we going to empower our affirmations? Through affirmations, your mind will now distort in your favor. So instead of distorting against you, it's going to distort in your favor. You will be a glass half full person. You will take the time to celebrate your growth and create new success paradigms for yourself where you previously saw roadblocks. So, are you ready? Break. Let's go and get in the affirmations game. And I want you to say out loud with me, I affirm my success with affirmations. Okay? Say it. I affirm my success with affirmations. Now, with affirmations, we can undo all of these negative elements and create positive generalizations, deletions, and distortions, where once they were negative, we can now empower them and make our subconscious mind work in our favor. You see how powerful this is? Because once we do this, it's on autopilot. Think about the ratio of good thoughts and bad thoughts and how many thoughts we have, that the range of what our subconscious mind perceives versus the range of what our consciousness perceives is huge. So if we put our subconscious mind to work for us, it's like having a whole team on our side, and we're no longer alone. We have the universe literally working for us in the background to produce our success, okay? So it's going to distort, delete, generalize towards your manifestation, okay? This is done in the brain through neuroplasticity, by repeating and creating new language habits for yourself. Where your language and body leads, your mind will follow. And it's the famous Hebb's Law, which states that brain cells that fire together, wire together. They're all together. Aww. Okay, now that you know about the power of affirmations, did you know that affirmations are also a form of self-hypnosis? Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. When we think of the word hypnosis, we often imagine some unshaven guy on stage with a stopwatch in some gaudy outfit mesmerizing a person into a state of slavish sleep. We might also imagine a clinician with a person seated in an office being subdued into a state of impressionable slumber. While these are classic forms of hypnosis, there are milder versions of hypnosis that range from rhythmic beats to rocking motions in dance to the prosody of heightened forms of speaking. Have you ever lost yourself in a song? You were in a mild hypnosis. Ever spaced out watching a show or a movie? You were in a mild hypnosis. Ever daydreamed for a while you were at work? You were in a mild hypnosis. Ever just stopped and were mesmerized by a waterfall or a natural feature? You were in a mild hypnosis. Ever been in love for the first time and felt the rush of oxytocin in your brain? You got it. You were in a mild hypnosis. Probably a major one at that point. But here's the point. Affirmations and meditation are also a form of hypnosis. In fact, most of what I've taught you already are forms of mild hypnosis. I will teach you how to use more of these self-hypnosis techniques as we continue. So I do these all the time and they work seriously well. They have worked wonders for me. And I use a variety of techniques that have opened up very powerful opportunities for me. But first, before we move any further with the concept of hypnosis, here's what hypnosis actually is, so that you become aware of where you are directing your power. What defines hypnosis is the lowering of one's brainwave state from beta, which is your awake, thinking, calculating state, into alpha or theta, which is your trance, extreme relaxation, or light sleep states, which are lower vibrational rates. Delta, which is beneath that, is where you are in a deep sleep, which does not necessarily include REM sleep actually, because REM cycles fluctuate up and down above delta and back. Okay. For affirmations, what you want to do is target the alpha and theta states. So if you look at the chart below, it outlines the exact frequency ranges and what describes each of the brainwave states. Now in red are the states we want to target when it comes to self-hypnosis, okay? So gamma is the ultimate high excited state, okay? It's concentrating or exerting focused brain power like you're learning, okay? Beta is where we kind of are most of the day. It encompasses most activities while we are awake. Alpha is like a relaxed or sleepy state. Theta is stage 1 and stage 2 light sleep. And then delta is stage 3 deep sleep. A hypnotherapist can get you into alpha or theta states, but you can learn to get into these brainwave states yourself and access your mind through meditation pretty easily. In the lower frequency states like alpha or theta, the barrier between your neocortex, which is your conscious mind, and your subliminal brain, called the limen, hence the term subliminal, is opened, and you can consciously communicate with your subliminal mind by giving it suggestions and commands. How powerful is that? We now have access to the gateway. Your subconscious and even unconscious, those minds will then reprogram itself with new instructions to re-encode your self-image and the beliefs you want to achieve your goals and manifest the life you desire and deserve. I'll show you a very easy way to do this right now, and this is called the sway technique. Depending on where you are in your manifestation journey, you may need fewer or more affirmations as a daily routine. If you have a higher sense or degree of emotional awareness and intelligence and can easily switch your emotional states when out of alignment, then you may not need to do a lot of affirmations as an exercise, although they are valuable as a maintenance practice. If you have trouble focusing your emotions, or they tend to control you more than you control them, then affirmations are the perfect tool to reset and build out your emotional intelligence. And I know this because I had to rebuild my entire self-image and emotional base from scratch after a major loss and near-death trauma back in 2021. And you can test this easily by a quick act of metacognition and think about how aware you are of your emotional states throughout the day and how easily it is to get back on track if you feel down or negative. Basically, the length of time it takes to refocus your energy will tell you. Also, and I want to repeat that not all negative emotions are bad or make you a bad person for having them. It's okay to feel anger and doubt and sadness from time to time. It really is. The telltale sign is what action you take when you're feeling those emotions, right? More of the same or shifting of your emotions out of it and reflecting on the emotional gifts that those feelings gave you. I've learned to control my manifestations to the degree that I can effectively use them in all of the brain frequencies. Although alpha and theta are the most effective, I believe, I can use what I call vignettes for gamma and beta affirmations, and have even started to master lucid dreaming. Lucid dreaming is where you can actually take control of your dreams while you're in your dream state as if you were awake. It's an advanced technique. I have literally told my dream state, no, you're not going to do that. You're not going to do X, but you will do Y. And the path of my dream has changed. So I'm going to share with you a few affirmation techniques because I believe that everyone's wired differently. That is, everyone's brain chemistry is not exactly the same. So find what works for you and use that. For example, some of my idiosyncrasies and predilections are, and people are often beside themselves when I say this, but I never liked avocados. I do now. I do not like onions. I'd rather have cold than heat. I like clean and I hate clutter, but that's just me. Another thing that was on my list of not likes was I do not like to meditate. I never liked to meditate for hours. I'd much rather take a cold shower and do affirmations while in an excited state versus doing meditations or affirmations while in a deep meditative state. For me, I have a hard time focusing my visualization sometimes. My mind just wanders. And your mind may be hyper-focused while meditating and hate cold showers. My point is, through the course, through the techniques, is do what gets the best results for you. However, always remember that you can learn something new and get new results by trying new things. This is very important to sort of stretch your bandwidth out when it comes to experiences in life. And this is very important. And on that subject, one of my mentors that I studied under made me do meditations, even though I hated them. However, with time, I got good at them and they produced great results. And I am so grateful for her patience with me and still value the discipline in doing meditations. I just wish I loved them as much as I now love avocados. However, practice, expand your repertoire, and increase the techniques that you use, and that will only serve to empower you. We've covered a lot of ground so far, including 11 manifestation techniques in this lesson alone. I'm going to end this lesson at the alpha and theta brainwave techniques and continue with the beta and gamma brainwave techniques in the next lesson. as those techniques are less affirmation based and more of what I call embodiment techniques. Embodiment techniques still involve communication, as does everything in this Meta-5 manifestation course, but you will now have the ability to consciously extend your communicative energy out into the universe in a higher vibrational way.